Okay, so let's talk about functions in Python.
Okay.
Functions are basically block of code, right? It's a
Mhm.
block of code that we give a name. So in a rough way, okay, in a crude way,
Mm.
block of code that we give a name. And
Okay.
we do that. Of course, there are multiple reasons why we do that, right? Reasons could be that you want to repeat a certain number of, the block of code multiple times, correct?
Mm.
So, for
Yeah.
example, let's say I have this print, how are you? Print. So let's say these are 3 lines of code and I want to call this multiple times, right? So if I have to call this multiple times, it's better I give it a name. That's what function is about. So,
Yeah.
so how do you define function in Python is like you have the def keyword first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have the def keyword and then def followed by the function name. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say
Okay.
um my code one or something.
Mm-hmm.
F followed by my code one. And then, okay, you can give function, bracket open and close, because you remember, we've been using functions so far. So,
Yeah.
so far, all the functions that we've been using were all inbuilt functions.
Mm.
Okay. The functions that
Yeah.
we're using were all inbuilt function. Inbuilt function means, the developers of Python have written the code, right? Now
Yeah.
we're going to talk about functions for which we are writing the code.
Okay.
Okay, we want to write the code for that. Okay, you always give this bracket open and close. Okay, and then you give colon. So def function name followed by bracket open and close, and then you give colon.
Okay.
And then when you give colon, then you push them inside. Push
Okay.
inside means just like we've been doing it for uh,
If and for loops.
yeah, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So here, so to indicate that these lines belong to this function, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Now, when I run it, okay, nothing will happen because this is just naming. Now, it's like, when we are born, we are given a name. So this is birth
Yeah.
of my code one. Okay.
Okay.
Now, my code one is the birth, right? But then until unless somebody calls us, we don't respond. Just by
Yeah.
calling us doesn't mean that we need to respond. When they call our name, only then we respond. So
Yeah.
somebody has to call out the name. So I have
Okay.
to say my code one.
Yeah.
My code one indicates that I am calling my code one.
Okay.
When you run this file, okay, the first line that will be called is line number 9. Line number
Okay.
9 is the, okay,
Starting point of the function.
yes,
Okay.
okay. Okay. So now when I call this, line number 9 is called. line number is checking for my code 1. Since it knows that it's a function, it will
Mhm.
check in the first, it's going to check in the same file.
Okay.
Okay, I can call this as print also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but when I
Mm.
call this as print, what happens?
It's a built-in function, so it won't be able to recognize
Oh, it will only
whether it
recognize the
is
built-in function.
correct.
Okay, because it's going to check in the same file. So it will,
Yeah.
yeah. So it will first checks here. So it's like, you know, if you, let's say if I tell you go to this particular bank, right? I don't tell you the branch. Tell you go to this bank. So that means
Mhm.
you'll go to the nearest bank, right? Which is, could be the branch next to your home,
Yeah.
right? So similarly, if I ask you to use print here, this is the one which is nearest to you. It's always nearest with what matters. So
Okay.
it will look, okay. Now I can't define this below this line because it always checks above.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to check below.
Okay.
Okay. I cannot call this my code here.
Yeah.
See, it's showing red line.
Yeah.
In that I don't recognize.
Okay.
Okay. So it is always written after. So now when we
Okay.
call it, so line number 9
Mm.
is the first line that is called, and 9 will call 4. So 9 is not complete yet. So it will call 4, 5, 6, 7, comes back to
Yeah.
9. Now 9
Yeah.
is complete.
Okay.
Okay. So 9 is complete until you perform entire function.
Okay.
Okay. So now if I want to call this again after, right, let's say I write something here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I perform some other thing here. And then I call again my code 1.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, you know, you see this text function, then you have 1, 2, and then again you have same block of code,
Yeah.
right? So this is
Yeah.
how you call function. So this is what function is all about.
Okay.
Okay? Now,
Yeah.
there are different ways to declare a function. Okay. Now, let's say I want to write a function to perform addition of two numbers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I can write, because addition of two numbers, let's say I want to use multiple times.
Okay.
So I say def my addition, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll define num1 equal to 10, num2 equal to 20, and you say print num1 and num2 gives us num1 plus num2, right?
Yeah.
Now when I call it,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so nothing happened because
Mm-hmm.
my addition is not called yet, right?
Correct.
I need to call my addition.
Yeah.
Go ahead and I'll say my addition. Now when I
Okay.
call my addition, you see this part is called.
Right.
Okay, this is good. Now, when we declare or when we write a code, right, our objective is
Mm-hmm.
to create a module, right? Modular code. Why do we, write? Because tomorrow, if we have to make some changes, you don't have to, make a lot of changes to the data, right? Now, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
let's say tomorrow, if number like 10 and 20, right? But this change,
Mm-hmm.
I want to add 100 and 200.
Mm.
Function cannot be used,
Okay.
isn't it? If I have to add 100 and 500 or 100, any number other than 10 and 20, then I can't use it, right? So
Yeah.
can I make this function, okay, like a template which can be used to add any two numbers? That's when it'll have
Mm-hmm.
more usage, right? Otherwise, it will not have more usage,
Yeah.
correct?
Correct.
So we have to make this accept any values, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Um, so we can take the input from the user
Take
and then
user,
pass those two values to the function, or
right? So
from the function
two
itself we
things you
can.
are saying, two things you are
Mhm.
saying. One thing you're saying that input. So I can write input here itself, right?
Yeah.
But not always you will have values from the user. Sometimes you get program from some other, let's say, you have another program to read user values. And
Okay.
same user ID, let's say you need to pass to this function.
Okay.
In this case, you won't be asking the user to give the user ID, right? Because you have already captured the login. It's any
Yeah.
website, like when you log in, you have the user ID captured. So everything else, like
Hmm.
all the dashboards, all the things that you see is based on your user ID.
Hmm. Yeah, we can use parameters for this function to accept whatever is being passed from the other method
Yeah.
and then use them inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, okay, what we do is, as you were saying, second part, that we need to pass the values here,
Hmm.
right? So your
Mm.
main program will have the values.
Okay.
Let's say your main program has values here, right? Now I want to
Yeah.
pass these values to the from, so whatever you want to do, want to read a value, you want to capture the value, you want to get value from somewhere else, all those things you do here in the main, and then
Okay.
pass the value there. So
Yeah.
how do you pass the value? You have to say here, you know, declare this. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is called parameters, right?
Yeah.
Parameters. We need to pass the parameter to the function.
Function. Yeah.
What I'll do is, okay, let's maintain that, what we had earlier. So okay. And
Hmm.
so what we did before, I just want to maintain it. Okay, we don't delete it. And
Okay.
we'll write my edit.
Another function that accepts the parameters. Okay.
Okay, and then here you give n1 plus n2.
Okay.
This makes sense,
Yeah.
right? So now what I'll do, okay, my addition is calling here. Now I'll say here, I'll put the function name also so that we know what is being called.
Okay.
So now when you run it, this is from my addition. Okay, 25
Mm.
plus 35. And
Mm.
now when I call my addition 2, okay, let's say when I call my addition
Mm.
2, I need to
Mm.
pass the two values. So if you don't
Yeah.
pass, it expects two values. Okay.
Right.
Now when you don't pass, okay, you see it says two
Missing
two
required
required
parameters.
positional arguments.
Okay.
These are important words.
Okay.
Required positional arguments. Arguments are same as parameters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Arguments or parameters. Okay. Whatever you call it. So
Mm.
what is required and positional? We'll see that.
Okay.
Required means, okay, you have to pass.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you
Mm.
have to pass, it takes two values. So you
Yeah.
have to pass two values. I can say print f my addition. Okay. N1
Mm.
is N1 and N2 is N2.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm.
required means there are two values here and you have to pass. There's no other option but to
Yeah.
pass. So you pass here num1 comma num2. So required, this is
Okay.
what we say required.
Okay.
Required, you have to pass the values for those arguments. And then positional. Positional, okay, is left to right mapping what we see. That means, so there we have values n1 and n2 in the definition. This is your function definition, right? In function definition, you have n1 and n2.
Yeah.
And here you have num1 and num2. Correct? So
Yeah.
num1 will go to n1 and num2 goes to n2.
Okay.
That is what we call as positional.
Okay.
Okay. Positional means, okay, the order matters.
Okay.
Okay. So when I run this, okay, you see num1 and num2, okay, n1 is 10 and 35 because n1 we gave 10 and n2 we gave 35. That's why we.
Okay.
So you have n1 and n2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very clear, required and positional, right?
Yeah.
Required
Yeah.
means you have to pass. Positional means in the same order. See, addition,
Okay.
there's no difference, right? Addition order is not required. But if you were to do subtraction or division,
Yeah.
then order would have been
Important.
important, right? So you
Yeah.
should know what is the order here. Okay.
Okay.
Now, the question comes. Okay. Now the question is, how can we make it non-required and how to make it non-positional? Let's look at first non-required. How to make it non-required? Non-required is called as default arguments. So there are some keywords that you need to remember. Required, positional, two things we have seen. Third keyword we are doing here is called default arguments.
Yeah.
Default arguments means that you don't have to give the value for it. It's not required. Why it's not required? Because it has its own default value.
Okay.
So for example, we'll take same example, addition example itself. I'll copy and I will paste it here. Now I'll call it as addition 3 and I'm going to say n2 equal to 100. N2 equal to 100. Okay. We are taking n2 as default. So n1 is still required.
Yeah.
N2 becomes
Optional.
default, optional, yes, default. That means, okay, you can give, so my addition 3, 1 comma 3. So when I give 1 comma 3, so see you get n1 is 1 and n2 is 3. You get 4.
Yeah.
But now if I call it again, and this time I don't give this value. So see, it did not give error. Instead, it took 100 as the default value and continued calculating the output.
Okay.
Makes sense here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So this is called default. Now here we are learning, of course, right? But when you actually start using it in future, you'll realize there are some parameters which takes lot of values as input. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, if you have to plot a graph, right? Now, if you plot a graph, you need to have XY value, right? So XY value you need to give, only then you can plot a graph, but you can give
Yeah.
values for header, X label, Y label, all those things. But let's say you
Mhm.
don't want to give header.
Okay.
So by default, it will, because there are 10 parameters that you need to pass. So
Mhm.
all 10 parameters you have to give value if there is no option for default,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it
Yeah.
can become a big problem. So what they do is they will make some as default blank text. Okay, so if
Okay.
you give value, it will take like the title. If you don't want to give title, it will not take title.
Okay.
If you give title only, it will take. So
Yeah.
if I don't give value, it takes 100. If I give, it will take
Okay.
what you give, right? Now, in this case, if
Yeah.
you don't want it to add, you can make default value as 0, for example.
Okay.
So now you pass, 1, you get 1 only. Because you don't pass second value, so by default, it is same value,
Yeah.
right? So this is how, it helps, right? And when you talk about complex functions, developing complex functions for machine learning, data science, your visualization, right? Your functions will have many, many, many values. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, okay, whichever values are important to me, I will pass, rest you take default. So every function, generally the good practice that you have some default values. Okay. So for
Okay.
example, if you remember input, you can give no parameter or you can give one parameter, right? Remember?
Okay.
So in input, you
Yeah.
give no text or one text. So that
Yeah.
text that it has is default one. They would
Okay.
has set it to default equal to no text, I mean blank.
Okay.
So when you pass a text, it takes the text. If you don't pass a text, it is blank.
Okay.
Blank means something like, like it would say para equal to something like this. That's the default value.
Okay.
If you give, it will be replaced with what you give. Otherwise, it will take this value. So this is
Okay.
how you can give default values, right? Then they're not required. So here you see you have both required and default. Okay. N1 is required.
Yeah.
If I
Okay.
don't give value 1, it's going to throw error.
Okay.
Okay. Now it says 1 required positional argument. It doesn't say 2 required.
Mhm.
Because second one is default. You can make
Yeah.
both as default if you want to, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
You can make both N1 and N2 as default, but
Okay.
you can't make N1 as default and N2 as non-default required. Always default values are added at the end. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I can make both required, I can make both default. But if I have to make
Okay.
one default, it has to be N2, not N1. Why? Can you think and tell me?
Uh, yeah, because it is positional, right? Like
And it's positional. So
it doesn't understand. Yeah.
you cannot say that, don't give value in the first position, but second position you have to give a value. How can you give
Okay. Yeah.
value in second position if you don't have first position?
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So it's like, a train, having no last bogie, right? So something has
Yeah.
to be at the end. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
why it is always followed that way. Okay, you
Yeah.
cannot. Okay, so all the default will be together and towards the end, not in the beginning. So whatever is
O-
compulsory required will be there in the front first,
Okay.
the positional thing. Now you can play with the position also. Okay, so
Okay.
this is what we call as required arguments, right? Now you can
Mm-hmm.
play with positions also. So what I said, non-positional. To have
Mm-hmm.
non-positional, you need to use what we call as keyword arguments.
Okay.
You need to use keyword arguments. Keyword arguments are called non-positional arguments. Okay.
Okay.
So our keyword arguments work is, let's say, I take my edition 3 only. Okay, I need to change this, right, to 3. I'm taking same one, okay? My
Okay.
edition. No, okay. This 2 would be better, I guess, because this is one required, right? So let's take my edition 2. Take my edition. Then my edition 2,
Okay.
I give 1 and 3, right? So my edition 2, N1 is 1, N2 is 3. Okay,
Mm.
that's the positional. Now, what
Okay.
happens when you add my addition? Okay, see, it also shows you the variable which is being used in the function definition.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at my addition 3, or if you look at my addition 2, it's N1 comma N2, N1 comma N2. So
Yeah.
it indicates, it tells you, for even for internal, even for inbuilt function also, it tell you. Okay,
Yeah.
N1 and then you have N2. N1 and
Okay.
okay. So which means the first value that you are giving is N1. Second value you're giving is N2. Now I
Okay.
know, I don't have to go back to look at the definition of function. I know, okay, N1 and N2. So I will use the same variable. I will say N2 equal to 1 and N1 equal to 3.
Okay.
I'm using the keyword. Keyword is, what is keyword? Keywords are the variable names declared in the function
Function.
definition.
Okay.
So now when I say N2 equal to N1, and from where did you get N2, N1? From the function definition. So
Yeah.
now when you run it, so see, it says N1 is 3. Though we are giving first value as 1,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it is reading 3 as first value and N2 is 1 because we said here.
Okay.
Play with the position also. So default values, let's say if you have, I told you, right, the function will have multiple default values.
Okay.
Let's say you define a function where first one is X and Y value that you need, that is required,
Okay.
not that you can plot
Mm.
a graph. Then you have
Mm.
plot X label, Y label. So you have plot title, X label and Y label. You don't want to give plot title and you don't want to give X label. You want to give directly Y label.
Okay.
Then you can use positional. You can say Y label equal to,
Okay.
okay, N2 will not have any impact. So
Okay.
default argument, you give equal to in the function definition. For keyword arguments, you give equal to in the calling function.
Okay.
So these are 4 types of functions that we can write based on the values that we pass to it. You have
Okay.
required arguments, you have positional argument, you have non-required, which is default argument, you have non-positional, which is keyword argument. So keyword, default, positional, required.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. There's one more option here, okay, in case of function definition itself. We call it as variable length arguments. Print, for example. So when we call print, sometimes we don't give anything. Sometimes we give only one argument. Sometimes we give 2. Sometimes we give 5, 10,
Mm-hmm.
300 arguments also you can pass to print. Or
Yeah.
does print manage all the 100 arguments? Does it have 100 variables with 100 default values? No, because you don't know. Print can take 500 also. So even if I declare 100 default arguments, still you're giving a limit of 100. But print, you can add actually 500. You can add any number of arguments to print. How is it
Okay.
happening? How does print being declared? So that's where we use what is called as default length arguments.
Okay.
Okay.
Default length arguments.
A
Okay.
default number of arguments. Not default.
Okay.
Not default. Variable. Variable length arguments.
Okay.
Means you're giving I was got confused with 100 default values. So it is variable. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking about variable length arguments. Function which can take variable number of arguments, any number of arguments.
Okay.
Okay, any number of arguments.
Okay.
Let's see. So I'm going to define my addition 5 and I give
Okay.
one. So if I write n1, what is n1? What type of arguments is n1? Required.
Required. Yeah.
Okay. Now I will give
Yeah.
star n2, double star n3.
Okay.
Star n2 and double star n3. Print
Star. Dude.
n1 equal to n1. Print n2 equal to n2. Print n3 n3. Sorry. And I'll just print here my addition 5. So you know that we are dealing with my addition 5. Now n1 is required, so I have to pass values for n1.
Okay.
Calling a variable length argument function. So I have to give value for n1. I give value 10.
Okay.
For n1, n2 and n3, I'm not passing anything.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. So see here, my addition 5, we gave 10, so n1 is 10. Now see n2 and n3, it has printed a tuple and dictionary.
Okay.
N2
Why
is
is that so?
because it is ready to accept default number of arguments. We have not passed any, so it is all blank.
Okay.
Now, if I pass here, okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's say.
Okay.
Now, when you run it, because 10 is required, first value will go to
Mhm.
10 positional. And the
Okay.
rest of the values from 5 to 9 got added to N2. So that's
Okay.
how N2 can take any number of arguments.
Okay.
N2 can take any number of arguments.
Okay.
I showed you with 0, right? And now I'm showing you with maybe 14 values,
Okay.
right? Now,
Yeah.
if you can pass keyword arguments like this, name equal to, now keyword variable is supposed to be variable, right? That's why
Yeah.
name is a string. We are not writing in quotation. It is supposed to
Okay.
be variable name. Name equal
Yeah.
to the chain. City, I put small letter. City equal to Mumbai, let's say.
Okay.
Team equal to cricket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so name,
Yeah.
city, and game I have not put in quotation because they're supposed to be the keywords or your variable names, right? Even though we don't have variable names there, but supposed to be variable names.
Yeah.
Okay,
As
so
a dictionary, it's a key name.
yes, it becomes dictionary later, but for
Okay.
edition 5, it is just a variable name. Just
Okay.
you would say n1 equal to 1 or n2 equal to 3 or something like that.
Okay.
Something like that only we are doing here.
Okay.
But when it goes to double star, it converts this into dictionary.
Okay.
So not only regular values, you can also pass key value also or keyword arguments also as variable number of arguments.
Okay.
See here, this is the number that you got and this is
Mhm.
So you can have function that can take variable number of arguments.
Got it. So this kind of flexibility is not available in SQL or C# or so, right?
You have to pass them as an array.
Yeah, like JSON structure or something.
Correct. Some kind of structure, yes.
Okay.
But now here, okay, you don't have to do it. Okay, you just
Okay.
pass and the variable automatically becomes array,
Okay.
right? When you pass more than two values or when you declare it as star. See, I'm only declaring star here, but while using, I'm using like a normal variable only.
Yeah.
So I'm not using a star n1 anywhere.
Okay.
Okay. So whatever is there, okay, star, double star, it is only a time of the bracket, the function definition.
Okay.
While using, it is used as a normal variable n1, n2, n3.
Got it.
Make sense? All right.
Yeah.
So this is how we use. So these are the 5 types that we discussed. All are related to the input variables, input arguments, how you pass the value to a function, right?
Okay.
You can also have a function with return type, right?
Okay.
So instead of printing or performing these things here, I don't want to print it, but I want to pass it to the main function. So I'm saying,
Okay.
you wanted me to add, I'm adding it. Now you take it and do whatever you want to. You want to display, display. If you want to pass to some other function, you pass on to some other function.
Okay.
So we're talking about return type now, right? So return type is like you are passing back the values to the main program,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So how we perform is like any other programming language, you add a return there. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will take, say, my addition 3. And this is my addition 5, right? To make this as 6. My addition 6.
Okay.
And then instead of printing, okay, we will say return n1 plus n2. That's it.
Okay.
And when you call my addition 6,
We should have another variable to capture the value that's been returned from that.
addition 6, right? So let's say I call it as result equal to my addition 99 plus 199.
Okay.
Now you say print my addition 6. The result is comma result.
Okay.
Okay, these are
Yeah.
types of.
Okay.
So we'll stop here. Okay, for today. Your task
Yeah.
is to, let's do one more concept before we end.
Mhm.
So I was saying that your task is that some of the examples that you have done, try to convert that into functions.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So this is how you write functions. Okay. We'll see some more examples. Function is probably the biggest topic. Okay. For the entire discussion that we'll have. Now let's say you have written this function.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Now, let's say this is your file. You have done these functions, great. And I want to use it. That's what happens in a company, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
redo the stuff. Somebody has already done it. You want to use it. How do I use it?
Yeah. That was my next question.
Yes,
So, how to call the function across the files?
exactly. So we call them as modules. Okay. Module is
Okay.
nothing but a file which has functions are called modules.
Okay.
So your P3 has become a module because we have written function here. So P3 is
Okay.
your file, and let's say P2705, I can delete it. Now let's say this is my file.
Okay.
I want to call the function that you have written.
Okay.
I can say import P3. Okay, I have to use exact same name of the file that you have used. So your
Okay.
module is nothing but the file name only
Okay.
without py.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not writing py, but I have to say import P3. The
Okay.
moment I say import P3,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now you see P3 dot if I do, you can see all the variables and functions.
Okay.
In F are functions, we are variables. This is what we
Okay.
did when we did list, tuple, dictionary, that. Remember, we created
Right.
object and the object name dot we did.
Yeah. Got it. So within the same solution, if all the functions are defined within a file, we can access that by importing that particular module in a
Correct,
different file.
correct.
Okay.
And you can have import multiple files, right? Let's say you want to have two different functions which are two different files. So you can say,
Okay.
now the problem here is, if I simply import, that means I want those functions to be available. But when I run 2705, it is running like P3 only.
Okay.
See, if I run P3, then this is fine. This is what you expect.
Correct. Yeah.
But when I run 2705, then I
Mm.
don't expect these things. These things are your code. I'm interested in your functions, not what you have written.
Yeah.
2705, right? I'm not
Mm.
interested in all these.
Yeah.
So there is an option. Option says is when you are writing these functions, now from now on, it's more like a style. So see, so far we were learning things in bits and pieces. Whatever we have
Mm-hmm.
learned so far is like
Mm.
bits and pieces, or how to perform only conditions, how to perform only loops, how to perform, a dictionary, list, string. Now we are putting
Yeah.
into a real world like programs. So what we should do is, this is your main code, right? Now, these codes, nobody else will be interested, but you will be interested because you are interested in running this program based on your requirement. So
Yeah.
I need to put this in a separate block. Okay.
Okay.
So
And
whatever,
make it kind of private within this file.
right. So instead of making it private, I will make it as a condition, if else condition.
Okay.
So I'm saying if this file is called directly, then you run it,
Mm.
else
Mm.
don't run it.
Okay.
Right? So I will say
Mm.
if, okay, if name equal to main, okay, what does it mean? See,
Name equal to main.
yeah, I'll do it here.
Okay.
When a file is run, right, it looks at the
Mm-hmm.
file name.
Okay.
So in this case, P2705 is main.
Okay.
So I'm saying if underscore underscore name underscore, whenever you see underscore underscore before and after, both, whenever
Mm-hmm.
you see underscore before and after, it means
Mm.
you are saying that these are predefined function.
Okay.
It is predefined function. Okay, or variable,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you call it.
Mm.
Okay. And so when
Okay.
we create our variables, we should not give underscore underscore name underscore underscore.
Okay.
Why? Because then the users will be confused. They'll confuse whether it is a user-defined variable or function or
System defined,
yes,
built-in one.
find or bit.
Okay.
Yes. So always, okay, double underscore is for this. So do not give. Okay. Now, what you can do here is name equal to, okay, main equal to main. What is main? Okay. So name means who is calling me. So if name is main, so if this block of code is called by this file, then it is main file.
Okay.
So if this is written in P3, so P3 content are called, then name is main. Otherwise, it is not main. It is, if I call from 2705, then this will become 2705, not main. So if I call
Okay.
this one, then main is what? Main is 2705 for this one.
Yeah.
For this. So this condition
Right.
falls and you see it is not called.
Okay.
If I call P3 directly, it is calling. P3 directly is calling it because when I call P3 directly, then this file is main.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if I call P705, then
Mm.
2705 becomes main. P3 is not
Right.
condition
Okay.
false and it's
Yeah.
all that.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you can block the code. Now I want to call P3 dot addition. P3 dot addition. Now when you run it, obviously you expect P3 to give you the answer. So this is one way of calling. Another way of calling is now when you do P3 dot, right, you see everything is imported. Result, addition, addition 2, 3, 5, 6. Now you don't want to call everything. You only want to call my addition.
Yeah.
So you can make some changes here. Or let's look at this one itself. Let's finish off and then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I don't like P3. P3 doesn't. So you can give an alias, you can rename it. So you have to say
Okay.
because P3 is file name, then you can
Mhm.
say as
Okay.
my fun, let's say.
Okay.
So I've called P3, but I don't like P3 name. Okay, so I'm calling this as my fun. I'm renaming P3 only for
Okay.
program. P3 will remain
Okay.
P3. Okay, others will call
Yeah.
only. But I don't like
Okay.
P3 and I don't want it to appear P3 in a program. So you can rename it.
Okay.
Okay. And when you
Yeah.
rename it, from now, the P3 is already giving you error.
Yeah. It should be my fun dot.
Yes, it should be my fun dot.
Okay.
That's another way of using, okay, same import.
Okay.
Okay, so this is second way. Now we'll see a
Okay.
third way. Now, let's say, okay, even if you use like this, okay, now when you say my fun dot, everything is available, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to call everything.
Hmm.
I only want my addition to be called. So
Okay.
if from P3 import addition.
Oh, okay. Only that particular method.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So now,
Okay.
but in this case, when you're calling this, you don't have to use P3 or myfun. Directly call my function as if this is written in the same file.
Okay.
That's the difference. So when you're saying
Okay.
import module name, then you have to use module name dot function name.
Okay.
But if you
If we are importing only the method from that module, then we can directly call the method name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it will look to the users as if this is written in your own program.
Okay.
You're not importing from somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay. So now when I run it, you still get 60. So this is how you call the functions. This is how you define the function, and this is how you call the function. You call the function
Okay.
same file or different file.
Okay. Got it.
Right? So with that, we will
Yeah.
stop here for today.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll see some more functions of functions in the next session.
Okay.
And yeah.
Sure. Okay. Okay, Swapnil. Thank you.